Hey everybody, Brian Tro coming to you from Mossy Creek Fly Fishing with your fly fishing forecast. The date for today is Monday, November 3rd. Hope everybody had a good Halloween weekend. We've got a beautiful week coming up this week. Highs in the 60s, lows in the 30s, beautiful fall weather to get out and enjoy some fishing. Not much rain, if any, in the forecast. Fortunately got some good soaking rains last week that helped water levels in the area. Up in the mountains where the brook trout are spawning or trying to spawn, much needed flow. We got certain gauges. There's not many up high, but there's one at Stokesville in the North River, and that thing got over 10 CFS up on the little brook trout stream. I think that's the first time we've seen that over 10 in a couple months. So that's good news. Those brook trout need flow. They need to get out of those community pools. They need to travel large distances in order to have a good successful spawn, find different partners, pairings throughout the watershed. When the water's really low and they're pulled up, they're just kind of stuck in these community pools. So we also just need good, steady flow for oxygen, for the eggs. So anyway, we're staying away from fishing for the brook trout for the foreseeable future. We'll let you all know kind of when things are looking good to get back out there and not disturb them. But for now, having a little bit extra water in those streams can go a long way for a successful spawn. Further downhill in our larger rivers, the James and the Shenandoah, they got a much needed bump from that rain as well. We're not doing a lot of fishing for bass. You can definitely fish for them this time of year. It can be a little bit tougher. You really got to target the warmer hours, but for the musky fishing, it's definitely been beneficial. So got a nice bump last week. We're on the back side of that, but all these fish need a little extra flow, a little extra cover, a little extra food coming into the system. So for those of you who are musky fishing or interested in musky fishing, having a little extra water. We didn't get that like nice margarita green color that we love to fish in the winter. But we just got a little extra volume, a little extra flow, hopefully keep the fish from being quite so skittish. Maybe switch them on a little bit, get them a little more aggressive. But those big muskie are gonna be eating. They don't mind these cooler evenings as much as the bass do. They're all warm water species, but the muskie's metabolism stays up at a little bit cooler temperature. So these 30-degree nights aren't switching them off as much as it will the sunfish and the largemouth and the smallmouth. So they primarily feed on giant suckers, hognose suckers. They feed on fall fish, chubs, baby carp, things of that nature. Anything in the river, but those are their primary food sources. So that's what you're going to want to be throwing flies that imitate. Have some shinier, flashier flies that can imitate your fall fish. Have some reds and oranges and browns to imitate some of your sucker families. And just go put in the work. Leaf situation is improving. A lot of the trees, especially the walnuts and stuff, are completely done. The walnut trees in my yard have no leaves on them at all. Sycamores have really dropped, but there's a lot of variety to our trees along the river, and some of them hold on a little bit longer. So you get some breeze out there, you're gonna get leaf litter. We've got, maybe another 2 more weeks of dealing with that before it's pretty much done for the year. So that's the good news. Moving on to some of the more productive waters. We've got the state is still out stocking. So we've got trout fisheries coming online all over the place. A lot of the lakes in the state have been stocked, a lot of the urban fisheries. So places as far, east as Hampton Roads, Richmond, Fredericksburg, a lot of your urban fisheries are getting stocked up for some of those of you who live in the cities. You can make your way down to some of those lakes and ponds they stock. Up here in the valley, we've got some amazing lakes and ponds to our west. Don't look past them. They're awesome. This time of year can be very interesting. Some of them have pretty large populations of trout that live in them all year. And so you've got a lot of those fish that are up in the water column right now. Water temperatures near the surface are where they like it, and you can do quite well. Some of them you really need a boat. It doesn't have to be much. It can be a kayak, it can be a canoe. A couple of them you can walk and wade around the edges, but definitely look to some of the beautiful high mountain lakes to the west here, to the west of Harrisonburg. They can be a lot of fun. You can catch a lot of different variety of fish in them this time of year. And of course, water levels aren't an issue when you're fishing those. The delayed harvest streams, almost all of them in state are open and stocked. Locally, the North River delayed harvest has not been stocked and opened yet. Hopefully, if we get a little more water in the system, they'll be opening that guy up. But look to Back Creek delayed harvest, Passage Creek delayed harvest, the Peddler. These are really fun fisheries that you can go and enjoy. Catch and release only all the way until June. All right, so size everything down just to the water flow, as we say. Go small in the fall. Small nymphs, attractor nymphs are good. Things like blow torches, Frenchy nymphs, anything with a little hot spot or a little extra color is definitely going to help you out with those stock trout. They like a little bit of pop to the fly. Once they're there for a while, they really start to key in on the natural foods more and more. So, things like, as we go into the winter, things like stoneflies that exist that are pretty sizable meal for a trout through the winter months. You want to start focusing on flies like that. But yeah, fishing brightly colored flies, mop flies, things like that can be really, really good this time of year. Our spring creeks are fishing pretty well. Much needed rain in those as well. So streams like Beaver Creek and Buffalo Creek. Beaver Creek looks great. Got some photos from Beaver yesterday. Much needed rain coming into the streams. The rainbows are hungry. They're getting stocked up, eating food, getting ready for winter. So some of the flies I just mentioned before are going to work on those as well. But you also have an opportunity to fish some terrestrials still. So we've had quite a few frosts and freezes here, but there are hoppers and crickets all over the place. The fish will still eat them. They're looking up occasionally. So if you want to blind cast a dry fly, stay big, stay with the attractor. Otherwise, dredge the bottom, get down deep, especially in the early morning hours when the fish aren't as active. Mossy's still fishing pretty well. A lot of those big browns are still spawning and doing their thing. So people are catching some immature browns. There's been some fish rising out there. Overcast days last week. There were definitely fish coming up and eating blueing olives. Speaking of blueing olives, that's going to be one of the most important dry flies that you have in the state of Virginia going through the next 3, 4, 5 months. Blueing olives can hatch on any day. Last week we had a lot of days where it was 48 degrees and super overcast or even drizzly. And those are the days that those bugs are going to show up. So blueing olives can hatch on any day throughout the year. They just become much more important as we go into the winter and we lose other types of food. All right, so make sure you've got some of those in your box. I don't tend to blind fish them. I'll wait until I see some sips or some rises, especially if they're on rhythm, and then I'll break out my blueing olive box. I have literally a bluing olive box that I'll have with me all winter long. A lot of folks have midges and they hate fishing them, but 9 times out of 10, the fish will eat a bluing olive first. As far as those browns wrapping up on Mossy, usually it's sometime around the 10th or 15th of November. It's kind of a moving target. I know I've mentioned this in past forecasts, but be looking for those fish to come off that spawn and come off hungry. They go into the spawn hungry, colored up, butter brown. They burn a lot of calories, either chasing each other around or producing egg. And they're not eating properly for several weeks. And when they get done, they come off, they're silvery, bleached out, and really quite hangry. So if you're out on the stream in the next, let's say about a week and a half, be on the lookout. Some of those big fish are going to be done and they're going to come out and they're going to be eating stuff. So fishing streamers, things like that, to kind of get those fish excited and get them moving can be pretty good. Pretty good come mid-November. All right. So that's it for the fishing. Focus on some of the state managed waters. Focus on the spring creeks. If you have the means, get out there and musky fish. And also don't overlook some of these high mountain lakes to the west. They're great right now. As soon as those water temps really start to plummet in those lakes, the fish will then go deep again and get down to where the warmer water is through the winter. All right. But right now is the time. Speaking of the time, it is time to have another open house. For years here, for over 2 decades, we at the shop have opened up our store in the spring always, and sometimes in the fall. And we bring in guest speakers and we bring anglers together with food and drinks and camaraderie. and information and giveaways and raffles and sales and all the fun stuff. So this weekend, Saturday, November 8th, here at the shop, we're gonna have our fall open house. I'm gonna be cooking my infamous chili. So there's gonna be lots of really good food. We'll have beers and sodas and drinks for everybody. Everything's free. And we have the wonderful, brilliant, approachable, humble George Daniels here to drop knowledge on all of us. He's gonna be giving presentations throughout the day. Schedule that will be released in this email that we're putting out. But you're not gonna wanna miss this. George is gonna be here for the whole day, so even when he's not presenting, he'll be tying some flies and signing books, and you'll be able to come up and hang out with him and ask as many questions as you like. The guides will be here on that day as well. We'll be helping you all out with gear, answering questions about the local area, maybe even doing a little bit of casting outside as long as the weather looks nice. Looks like it probably will be nice. So we hope to see you all. Come to the valley, do a little fishing, stop by the fly shop, and enjoy hanging out with us. All right, hope to see you all this weekend. Take care.